Hello, my name is Javis Fortwindle, and this is Harold, good cat, and I'm here to talk to you all about Grimm's Law. So, Grimm's Law is a very interesting concept in the history of linguistics that is kind of a combination of, I would say, a history lesson, and linguistics, obviously. So, Grimm's Law was discovered in about 1822-ish by a man named Jacob Grimm, who basically traveled the countryside looking for like archaic words to compare under the guise of asking suspicious like country people about their stories. And these stories, actually, a little fun fact, these stories went into a book that you may have heard of called Grimm's Fairy Tales, which Jacob published with his brother Willem. And so this Grimm's Law concerns basically the difference between various words that have different spelling changes and sound changes across different languages. So, back originally in Proto-Indo-European, which is one of the most ancient languages we can explain, had about 18 consonants. Seems a little random, but it'll make sense in a second. It has about 18 consonant sounds total. So, when Indo-European speakers moved throughout Europe, it split into multiple languages like Latin and Greek and Sanskrit, shot off of Proto-Indo-European, and also it's shot off into Common Germanic, which is an ancestor of all the Germanic languages, such as the Scandinavian language, English, Dutch, German, all that. So, when Common Germanic Common Germanic was a language that was affected by something called the Great Consonant Shift. And that occurred around 1000 to 500 BC, around. And it also affected it before it split into three subgroups called Northwest and East Germanic. North Germanic becoming the Scandinavian languages, West Germanic becoming English and Dutch and Modern German, and East Germanic dying out eventually. So, this is something, as the title describes, it only affected consonants. So, to illustrate kind of how consonants work, I'll follow you kind of how the sounds shifted, and we'll follow the track of P, the letter P. So, using my pretty big whiteboard here, I'm going to illustrate to you. So, there are several consonant like subtypes, but we're going to start with something called unvoiced consonants. So, we're going to start with P here. So P is, let's say, it's an unvoiced consonant, so it's pronounced as P. Alright? And so these unvoiced consonants shifted into something called aspirate consonants. Aspirate consonants are just consonants, but are kind of breathier, or the best case scenario. So P shifted into a... No. P shifted into a language where it was spelled and pronounced as P, and then turned into a PH sound, which is pronounced more at like an F. All right, so it changed from P to F. So basically, unvoiced consonants became aspirate consonants. And however, before the shift, there were aspirate consonants, and they shifted into what were called voiced consonants. And under this pretense, that PH sound turned into a B sound for a B. Interesting. That's a voice consonant. And like with the aspirate consonants, before the shift, there were pre-existing voice consonants. And those voice consonants, interestingly enough, shifted back into unvoiced consonants. So that anything that was spelled with a B churned over into a P. There is really no explained reason why this happened. No one really knows for certain. Because it affected all of Common Germanic before Common Germanic split into its three branches, which then either died off or split into the Modern Germanic languages. But it's mainly used to show differences, like explain the differences between spelling, like I said earlier. So this is something where Grimm's Law was it kind of the more law part. There's a lot of listed correlations in between this and that, but so this one specifically, so Proto-Indo-Europeans word, if basically a rule of it, if it starts with a P, in a modern Germanic word, it's going to start with an F. So I mentioned Latin splitting off from Proto-Indo-European. So in Latin, they have a word pater, all right? And in English, it is the word father. So that is essentially the basics throughout Grimm's Law. It can also get extremely more detailed. There are much more information to go around, but that is the basic information I have for this project. Thank you for your time. Good night.